Ready, set, go. Time for the show. Joe Audio and my bro Paco. About to bring that laugh attack. Yeah, about that. Make you laugh out loud, cause this is where it's at.
This the best podcast that you'll ever hear. It's nice and comforting just for your ears. We got gimmicks and skits with limitless wits, making other podcasters just quit.
What's up, everybody? It's the man they call Paco. Posted up in the cut like a Band-Aid.
Yo, what up? It's your boy Joe Audio right here representing for Yeah About That, the podcast.
And today we have a very special guest. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? But before you do, I just want to say I apologize about the video intro. This is new to us. So we kind of played it twice.
No, it's all good because, you know what? I'm going to tell you guys. Look, I grew up in Brooklyn. That was fire, all right? That was fire.
Yeah, thank
you. I feel y'all need to double that one up. They need to hear that. But I'm AJ Rivera. I got my own podcast, but these brothers were nice enough to reach out to me and talk about something that was near and dear to my heart. So I'd love to get into it with you.
All right. Yes. Why don't you go ahead and let them know what your podcast is, where they can find you at, your social media and such like that. Go ahead and promote all that right now up front.
Appreciate that. Well, my podcast is called I Am a Fan, and what we do is we take the average Joe and those who don't get credit and give them the credit they're due. So we'll put anybody on and tell your entire story how you want to do it, because nobody knows better than you, and who better to tell the story.
Yeah,
you can find us on You can find us on I Am a Fan Facebook. You can find me on Rivera Agustin on Facebook. We are on all social platforms as far as podcasts go, and we are about, God willing, we're about to hit iHeart.
Okay, that's what's up. All right, we'll make sure we link that up in the show description, and that way they can check you out and follow you, and definitely check out your podcast as well. All right, so the first thing that we do before we get into the album itself, we're going to go ahead and talk about the album cover.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and have you start first.
AJ,
you prefer to go by AJ?
Yeah.
Okay, so AJ, go ahead and let them know what your thoughts are on the Purple Rain album cover.
Okay, so here's the deal. All right, the album itself, right, holds a whole big meaning for me because it was the first album I actually purchased myself, and y'all know how big that is when you have your own money and you go in the store and get something yourself. This was the first album I purchased myself. Okay, what I loved about the album cover was the fact that motorcycle, all right, it said independence. It said, yo, you can't touch me. I go where I want to go. And that's how I was feeling at that time in my life.
Okay. Yeah. That's what's up, man. And definitely a lot of times when like an album cover has like imagery like that's impactful and means a lot to you, you tend to remember it a lot more, and it hits a lot harder and has more significance to you. For me, looking at this album, like, you know, I was born when this came out, but like I was barely born. So like I hadn't like listened to this when it came out. And so just looking at it, you know, it definitely has that whole feel of the 80s, and kind of like the man, the myth, the legend of Prince. Like it personifies that. It shows like that, like, just for lack of a better term, swag that he had, that he pretty much can do what he want, how he wanted, and everyone loved him. So that's what I'm getting from that. Paco?
Yeah. Well, you know, to me, it looks like an action film. And it looks like this guy, he's untouchable. He does, like you say, he does what he wants. I get that feel from it. You know, I was born after this album come out, but, you know, just seeing it reminds me of a different time period. For sure.
See, it's funny you guys are talking about, I'm 50, okay? So not only was I around when the album came out, all right, I was there the second day of release.
So yeah, that definitely makes a difference because, like, you know, music that, like, say that we listen to are like now that we grew up with, you know, if someone was born like in this year, or, you know, next year, or whatever the case might be, like they're not gonna have the same kind of like feel towards the music that we listen to. So like each generation, like it you can't really appreciate it unless you live in that moment when it comes out as much, you know. I mean, there are classics.
Jay, do you remember the first album that you bought, that you went in and you bought?
That I purchased? Man, that's a hard one. I'm gonna have to say I think the first album I purchased was I think a West Side Connection album.
Okay, okay.
First one, the first West Side Connection album.
Yeah. Yeah, mine was Slick Rick, the Art of Storytelling. When he got out, yeah, classic for me. I studied that album cover and everything, you know, because it was the first one that I bought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something else that I find interesting about that cover. All right. Okay, so now everybody knows that Prince was the Purple Prince and everything, and you know he had that majesty with that purple color. Okay. Yeah. But what I found out in my research, it was not his first choice. He wanted to go in all black, and they wouldn't let him because they said it wouldn't look good on screen.
Oh yeah,
that makes sense.
I can see that.
So the purple is actually a kind of a finger to everybody, which turned out to be a magistrate thing for him.
Right.
He decided to go with a pastel color that was supposedly just awkward to be different, and it turned out to be so great for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely iconic because like pretty much when you see this album cover, you know what it is. Like even if you see it from a distance, like you know what that album cover is, and there's no mistaking it. So yeah, definitely that move made it iconic in a sense.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and what we're gonna do is go over the first criteria here is the beats. So the beats, instrumentals. On a scale of 1 to 5, what would you rate the music on this album?
Yes. AJ, go ahead and start it off.
For a 1 to 5, I gotta give it a 3. I gotta give it a 3 because a couple of songs kind of lack for me. They didn't hit as hard as the rest of the album, so I can't give it a 5 across the board.
Okay, that's respectable.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
All right, so I'm going to have to actually agree with AJ there as far as a 3 because there are some part of it might be because of just dating as far as how old the song is, the sound of the album. There are some songs that are definitely iconic as far as Purple Rain, songs you've heard like When Doves Cry, things like that, like are embedded in your mind. As soon as you hear the beginning of it, you know what that song is. But there are other songs on here too that you almost kind of just forget. Like it's not necessarily that they're bad, but they just don't stand out. And for that, because they don't stand out as much, I can't give it too much higher than a 3. There are good songs. It's just nothing really to brag about in a sense. Paco?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of agree. I'm gonna give it a 2, just because like you said, it doesn't really stand out. I know, but this it's a different time. I'm not trying to be
hit hard, don't he?
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 2. For me, the only ones that stood out were, like Jay said, When Doves Cry and Purple Rain, because I've heard those a million times, even though this is my first time hearing the actual album front to back. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's just for my part.
That's cool. Everyone has a different opinion, so not everyone's going to agree exactly the same across the board. So that's cool, Paco.
Yeah. Let's keep it pushing, man. What's the second one you got?
All right. So the next criteria is going to be the lyrics. So the content, what he's talking about. AJ, let's go ahead and have you give your score.
I want Paco to take this one first because I want to hear this. Since he's new to the album, I want Paco to grab this one.
Yeah, you know what? The lyrics weren't as bad as the beats or the musical. What would you call this? Music? I would call it music, right? Not beats. Like
the
because he's a very good artist as far as creating music.
Yes,
but this one didn't really hit for me. But the lyrics stood out. They felt pretty real to me, and the situations that he's talking about in certain songs. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a 4 because I felt like it came from a real place. The lyrics. That's for my part.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
All right, now check this out, Jay. I'm gonna be absolutely real with you, and I've had this conversation before. Okay, and you guys are gonna look at me strange. I give it a 2.
Okay.
All except for 2 songs, because it was situational, yes, but I felt that even if it was situational, he could have put a little more words himself. It kind of seemed like he had already seen the movie and then wrote it in my opinion. It was coming from the heart with it.
Okay.
That's crazy. Yeah, I did kind of feel it more like, you know, the just because the way he's telling the story through the arc of the song, I kind of felt it a little more than just the way the music. I felt like if he had better music, it'd be better. It would sound better overall for me.
Yeah, I say like as far as like the lyrics is, you know, how he delivered it and such, that kind of plays into it, but it also plays into like his image of, or his persona of, like, I mean, he can almost do whatever he wants, and it's like gold to people.
Yeah, the arrogance definitely showed through.
That's exactly
his lyrics. I definitely felt arrogance.
That's what it was.
Growing up, Prince is not a person you disrespect.
Right, and that's what plays for me. Now, don't get me wrong, brother had mad swag. I will always give him that. But if you listen to the lyrics on the level of lyrics alone, I was feeling like, okay, you know this talent, and you're holding it back when you write some songs here. Purple Rain, smash it out the park. You know, song smash out the park. But when you got the stuff like, you know, Computer Blue, it seemed like it just dropped the ball on it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And that's where I think that arrogance shows through to me. Like he didn't need to give it his all, and then, you know, that's what really showed through to me.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say a 3. Just kind of middle of the road right there, because I think he probably could have put a little more effort into the lyrics of the songs, but his delivery is what really carries it. And if it wasn't for like how he was, his arrogance, is pretty much almost disregard for the little people, then I think that maybe would have, you know, if it wasn't on there, would have probably dropped it down lower. But because of how big he was, I think that elevated the status of his songs and his music, his lyrics.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
All right. So let's go
on that level. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and for someone like Prince, like it's not one level to really look at. A lot of artists, you can just see it for what it is, you know, what they say, what they do, like pretty straightforward. But
yeah, but the difference with Prince is I think he is self-aware. He knows who he is. You know what I mean? These other people, like other artists that try to be that arrogant, they can't pull it off because, you know, they're not true to themselves.
Well, what's that old saying? It's not arrogance if you can back up.
Yeah. Well, that's real, man. Because, you know, Prince was, man, he was on another level. Like a lot of us can't even imagine that level.
Yeah.
So it's right. He was a unique individual.
He could back
absolutely. Self-taught instruments, 13. That's impressive on any level for anybody.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, that alone, like, pretty much elevates him to that next level. Because, I mean, there's artists today that can't even, you know, make their own music, can't even play an instrument. Maybe they could sing or rap or whatever the case might be. But when you can play more than one instrument, like, you understand music, you know, and you can create something.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you think about it for a second, this man could walk into the studio and play every part and make a song.
Yeah. He almost didn't even need a band. Like, he wrote a lot of the stuff. The band was just there just to play the instruments because he couldn't be in all those places at one time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, man. So let's go ahead and move on to the next criteria, which is going to be the hooks. So pretty much this is kind of like the commercialness of the album, the songs, you know, what really hooks you in. You want to go first, AJ, on this one?
No, Jay, you got this one, baby.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I'll start with this one. All right. So the hooks. There are very memorable songs, memorable hooks. You know, like Purple Rain probably is one of the most memorable. I mean, even just the imagery it paints in your mind. Like, these songs were made almost for like stadiums and huge crowds, so everyone could sing along to feel the song along with them. So that right there, that song just by itself is a straight 5, no matter what. There's other songs on there that are pretty good as well, but then there's some of those filler songs almost that don't carry as well. I would say the hooks on those ones aren't as great. They carry the song, but they don't stand out as much. So I'm gonna give it a 4. And the only reason I'm gonna give it a 4 is because of some of those strong hooks that actually put it over the top. Like, I mean, if I can give it higher than a 5 on some of those songs, I would. But just those songs that don't stand out kind of brought it down to the 4. So I'm gonna say a 4.
Okay.
Good. Yeah. Not bad. AJ, would you want me to go or you want to go?
I got this one because
Yeah.
I've been waiting on the hook.
Yeah.
Now check this out. For the hooks, for every song I gave it a 5 across the board. Because if he wasn't what I consider putting himself completely out there, when he did a song, you know that song. You may like it or love it, not like it or love it that much. You know that song. There is not near a hook they play that you couldn't go, I know what that is, or I've heard that. Because even if, like you said, with Rain and with some of the other songs, you didn't have to see the movie, but you could close your eyes and see everything he's talking about in those particular songs.
That's
so
true.
even with the songs that I didn't really care for, I can still the hook only and know that song. There's no song on there I wouldn't call memorable. Particularly, and I know we'll get into our favorites in a minute, but particularly, I don't care where you are, what you're doing. If you hear 3 beats of Darling Nikki, you pulling your kids away. Because you already know what's coming. You know what's coming.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a father of 8. My kids have never heard it, never will until they're 18.
Yeah. Well, that's a good idea. I mean, he definitely said what he wanted to say in those songs, and they were pretty they painted a picture.
It all goes back to the arrogance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see, on that he knocked it out the park, so it's a 5 for me.
All right.
Yeah, I was shocked because, like I said, I've never heard these songs until, today or when I heard this whole album. But the radio songs, I knew them front to back because I've been hearing them for years. But yeah, the hooks for me, the hooks go hand in hand with creating the music. And I think he does it well. So for that, I'm going to give it a 5. This is well thought out. It's not just, just get in the studio and do something. Like it feels planned out with the music. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Careful with that.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of goes along with the whole music career of Prince. Like, he definitely had that understood music and knew how to create something that worked together. Like every note complemented every instrument, and his vocals, that all complemented each other. So he definitely knew how to make a well-rounded project. It's just a matter of effort that he put into it. Versus what he wanted to have the personification of, like what he wanted to present and what imagery he wanted to present on that song.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's move to the last criteria, which is going to be features.
Yeah, features. I'm not sure about this. I want AJ, could you explain if there's any feature? Because I didn't really read the credits.
Okay.
But I just heard,
So the only features that I'm really familiar with is, like I said, I took the time to background stuff about it, but the only particular features that I found interesting was when it came to the Revolution, which was his backup band at the time, he insisted on certain criteria of them, like they had to be at a certain time, they had to know that they were 12-hour days, they had to finish a complete song in a day, and that was interesting to me. One of the things that I thought was interesting, and I know we're not on the movie, but one of the things I found interesting in the movie is he insisted that none of the instruments be plugged in. If you ever look at the movie, none of the instruments are plugged in. They're all electric and none have a wire.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, definitely.
He wanted his music to play so that nobody would go over by accident.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, there's your arrogance, Pa.
Yeah, man, that definitely is another level. Like, and you don't even think about things like that, if you were to make your own music or whatnot, and kind of present it out. Like, he was a genius in a sense of what he wanted to put out there.
Yep.
So, well, I'm sorry, what was your score though for the features?
I gave it a 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just give it a 4 or 3. A 3, because I'm still not sure exactly how to score it.
Yeah, no, I know that he's had like a few different band members that were in and out, but I don't know necessarily when that time range happened. So I couldn't say, if he had another artist or another player play the instruments for him as a feature. But as far as like singing and such, I don't think there was anyone else singing on the album. So, but with that, features in general, if there's not like an actual person that featured on the album, we kind of look towards like elements he featured or like sampling and things like that, like any kind of outside influence that would also kind of be considered a feature on the song, because it's not what he did. But this music is pretty much original in the sense that it's everything that's him. The imagery, what he's talking about maybe could kind of be what he's featuring, but there's no features. It's all Prince, So I'm gonna go with a 3 across the board, because I can't really diss it, but I can't really say it's great because there's nothing really defined. It's all original.
He does feature a few different styles of music, I think, on there. Like
That is a good point, Tom.
You know what I'm saying?
That is a good point. He does do that.
Yeah.
So for that, it's but he does it well. So that's why I was gonna give it a 4, and change it to a 4. Because he does feature his versatility well.
All right. So, okay. So what we're gonna do now then is we're gonna go ahead and add this up. But before we get the totals for each person, we're gonna go ahead and go over our favorite songs. So, AJ, let's go ahead and have you kick it off since you recommended Purple Rain, the album. What was your favorite song on the album?
Okay, now everybody would think, the Purple Rain, of course, would be great, and everybody would think, I Would Die For You. But believe it or not, my actual favorite song is Darling Nikki, because he rips her apart in an artistic way.
Yeah, that's a good one, actually.
Yeah, okay.
I was shocked when I heard
this. No, that one stands out, like, for not really hearing the album. Like, obviously, like Paco said, we've heard the radio songs, but not really hearing the album. That one stood out as a shocker. Like, from the album, it stood out from the rest of the songs as something like you didn't expect.
Yeah.
I've gone so far as to actually have a girl in Nikki that I played it for, and she was disgusted.
Okay, that's actually a good idea. Not to a note to take right there with that. So
let's get a little sample of that. Hey, this right here, we just add it in post just because we're on YouTube right now. We don't want to get copyright strikes. You know what I mean?
Copy that.
Cool. So go ahead, Jay.
All right. So Paco.
Yeah.
We heard AJ's favorite song on the album. What's your favorite song?
When Doves Cry. I mean, I've heard it millions of times before, and it just it always hits when it comes on for me.
Yeah.
So just give them a little sample of that. Okay. All right, Jay, why don't you go ahead and let them know what time it is? What's your favorite?
Okay, so, it was kind of a toss-up between the first song and the last song. So, but because of just the imagery it brings about and just kind of like the whole, you can see a whole crowd rocking to it. I'm going to pick Purple Rain. I remember when I see the when Prince performed at the Super Bowl and stuff like that, like just how like amazing that was. So I'm gonna say Purple Rain.
All right, and we're back. So why don't you go ahead and give us the totals, Jay?
All right, so we'll go ahead and start with AJ's totals. So your totals.
I want to go last. Nope, I want mine.
Yeah,
last.
Okay, I'll go first.
I'll go first.
Yes. Right. What did I give it?
So you actually gave us a 15 out of 20. So do you believe that pretty much represents how you feel about the album? Maybe overall should have been higher, lower, or what are your thoughts on that?
I thought it was going to be higher. I didn't think it was going to be 15. But that being said, I recommend people go out and listen to this album just because it's a cultural icon. You know what I mean? Yeah. And just growing up, I always knew Prince was not a guy you mess with, and he always gets the most respect and things like that. Just so I thought it was going to be higher because of that. But you know what? If that's my honest answers, then yeah, I can agree with it. But I would recommend people listen to this album.
Yeah. All right. So my score, I gave it a total of 13 out of 20. So I mean, I thought it would have been a little bit higher because of how dated it was. At first, it was a little bit kind of difficult to like really get into it. And then once you kind of get into it, once it gets you hooked into it, then you feel the whole experience. And then you see the imagery because it is a movie as well as a soundtrack. So it is painting a lot of pictures in your mind. It's kind of going over situations. This makes me want to watch the movie because I've honestly never seen it. I mean, I know I've seen bits and pieces of it here and there, but I've never really sat there and watched the whole movie. So that's definitely something that this album brings to me that I want to do.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to say, kind of funny, like when I first started listening to the album, the image in my mind I first thought of was when Dave Chappelle did like a little skit, and then he had a image of Prince on there. So that kind of stood out in my mind at first.
Yeah.
But you know, as I kept listening, then obviously the real imagery and everything came out. But that's just my initial thoughts when I was thinking about it. But yeah, I gave it a 13.
Yeah, that's shocking, actually. My favorite Prince song is 1999.
Yeah,
that's the best one, I think. But go ahead, Jay. Keep it. Let AJ.
Well, hold on. If we're gonna throw in best song ever from Prince, you gotta do "Sign of the Time."
Oh,
"Sign of the Time" is the best song ever.
Okay, well, you know, I would probably, and maybe just because of radio, for as much times as they played it, especially around New Year's and such, like 1999 always gets played, and that one sticks out the most to me as well. But again, that's just marketing, so I guess that's just what was kind of pushed more.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to listen to Science. I probably heard it a bunch of times, but the title doesn't stick out to me. I gotta hear it to remember it. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna check it and compare that.
All right. So now for the moment of truth. So AJ recommended this album, Purple Rain by Prince, and you gave it a 13 out of 20. 13. So I mean, yeah, okay. Well, what do you think can happen there?
Somewhere along the line, I held back somewhere. I was expecting about a 15 or 16. So somewhere along the line, I held back somewhere. I'm not sure where.
And you know that actually happens pretty often, because the feeling that you get, like the nostalgia when you get like a classic album that you recommend, and then you kind of listen to it and then are more critical, trying to like assign a value to whatever the criteria is. And sometimes be more critical, you lose focus of what, you know, made it so magical for you. So it happens, you know, a lot of times people recommend artists and score a lot lower, maybe realize, oh, this wasn't as great as I thought it was, but it just happens because of that critical factor.
Yes.
Absolutely. But I mean, we take nothing away from the man. Like you said, he was an absolute genius in many respects.
Yeah. No, definitely everyone needs to listen to this album. I mean, you have to listen to it at least once in your life to fully understand the man of Prince, and then his other work too. Like this is not just his only project he had. There's so much more he had out there.
And may I recommend, please listen to the actual album. Don't do the CD. You need the actual vinyl. You need to hear that popping as it's turning.
Yeah, that's definitely a music experience in itself. That definitely. I've only heard a few albums like that, but yeah, no, that's a whole nother level of entertainment or way to enjoy it.
Yeah, you know, back in my day, we was using tapes, so so that's what you know. I remember bootlegging tapes most of the time. You know,
like my son told me back in, we were rubbing rocks together.
Yeah, no, I mean, just taking tapes from your grandfather or something and then putting tape over it.
Yeah, no, we used to do that a lot until the CD burners came out. And
my God.
Yeah, it was terrible. But it was fun.
Yeah. All right. So
before you guys were doing tapes, we used to get the album and then you bid for all your friends because nobody else wanted to pay for it.
Yeah.
Then you take it to school and you sell it to them for $5.
Yeah.
Man, that's the way to go. I wish it was like that now, but pretty much everything's online, so anyone can find it and just download it without having to worry about it. So
yeah, the struggles of getting music back then. I mean, you really appreciated it more back then.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Going down to the store, you know, getting friends with the owner so you knew when the new stuff was coming in for everybody else. It was work.
So what was your favorite music spot when you were buying music back in the day?
By far, BJ's in New York on Notion and St. John's, the block I lived on. I stayed in that store. You had to come get me when those came on to get me out of that store. And then most of the time I wasn't buying it. It's just that he would all the new stuff the day it came out, so you got to hear the entire album without ever buying it.
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
Yeah,
good
and then
spot.
you can kind of at that point decide if you want to buy it or not, and then or else you might walk in and hear something that you didn't know was out, and then just become a fan.
Yeah,
absolutely. It was like you guys without the video.
Yeah.
I mean, we definitely like to encourage our listeners to listen to different styles of music. We primarily play a lot of hip hop artists, but we do go out beyond that. I mean, obviously Prince almost is a whole music category himself. But we've played like alternative rock, or we've played actually we had Irish folk at one point.
Yeah.
So we do definitely try to expand horizons and have an open mind to listen to really whatever, and then kind of feel it. And a lot of times you'll be surprised at how much you enjoy music that you don't listen to because of how great those artists are. And it's definitely a great journey to go on.
Hey, did they ever have a music store called The Warehouse out there in New York?
They did. They also had The Wiz.
See, out here we had Sam Goody, Warehouse, and just a lot of mom and pop shops.
Right. Like now, I've heard of Sam Goody. I've never been there, but I have heard of him.
It's like a Virgin Records. We also had a Virgin Records out here. Almost similar, almost exactly the same feel. When I walk into Virgin and Sam Goody, like I don't know. That was for me. But most of the time it was the swap meet. You'd have people buying CDs wholesale, and then at the swap meet just buy them.
Oh yeah, that was definitely.
I'm gonna really date myself right here. We used to have it where I know you guys might have seen it in the old movies, but they would have the DJ battles.
Oh,
and you could go and check out the battles and stuff, right? And one of the conditions they do is the losing DJ had to sell his off.
Wow.
So he would sell or give them away and had to go home with only his equipment.
Oh, that's terrible. Those are high stakes, man.
Oh yeah, you did not want to lose. Nah, you ain't want to. So they fought hard in the battles, but you could get an album for like $2.
Oh man, yeah,
that's kind of cool. That
he had to do that.
Yeah, man, I kind of wish obviously we grew up a little bit later, but I wish I could have experienced things like that, because that whole environment, just seeing the music live and just the hunger of it. I mean, that would definitely be something that had to be seen in person.
Yeah.
It was an interesting time, and I mean, I wasn't the coolest kid or anything like that, and I wasn't even big in music back then. It's just my thing was I was pretty much a loner. So I mean, I didn't have a lot of friends. I had 3 good guys that I could call friends. 2 of them still call friends today, 35 years later. But it's like I wasn't cool enough to hang out with the cool kids, but I wasn't so to hang out with the smart kids either. So I kind of had my own middle ground, and I just kind of made it work. Music was the one thing that I didn't care who you were, everybody heard it, so you had something to talk about.
Yeah,
I'd imagine back in the day in New York, it was unavoidable. You know what I mean? I never.
You had your Walkman, and you had everybody blasting the radio on their shoulder, so you heard music even if you had never heard it before.
Man, yeah, that was the spot to be. So we want to thank you, AJ, for coming on here and doing the album review with us, recommending a classic album to review. So let's go ahead and one more time, just so the fans out there can check out your podcast. One more time, the name of your podcast and where they can find you at. Go ahead.
Cool. Well, as I said, my name is AJ Rivera, and my podcast is I Am a Fan. It's where you find all your podcasts. And you guys what? I'll do this, right? Since you guys were gracious enough to have me on, right? Any of your listeners who mentions that I was on your podcast, right? I will give them I will give them an opportunity to be a guest on mine.
Okay, you guys heard it here first.
Yeah, that's what's up. But again, we're gonna link it up in the show description, so make sure you guys check out his podcast and support.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So with that being said, we're out.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. AJ, we usually do another part after the album review. If you would like to stay, it's called you know, it's whack. It's just pretty much a rant, like something
I'd
that
love to hear this.
yeah, so if you want to be a part of that, like if you got something that you want to rant about, you know, something that bothers you, like my brother always goes for traffic. He's like, you know, it's wax sitting in traffic. You know, that's his go-to pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
I got you. You
All
guys
right,
get
cool.
kick it off. I'll think about it for a second. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Or Paco, since you recommended this,
Yeah.
what's your first? You know, it's whack.
Oh, for today?
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't prepared to. I was gonna take a second to think about it, but you know what's whack? It's dude, I had one lined up. It had to do with my son.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and start out.
Yeah,
then.
go ahead and start it, man.
Okay, so for my, you know what's whack? I'm gonna say Black Friday this year. Black Friday this year with the sales that happened. There definitely wasn't a lot of things going on. I mean, I understand that the whole, you know, pandemic and everything with COVID and stuff. So, but there wasn't really a lot of enticing sales for me to go out and buy things online or in person. Like, I just felt there was kind of a lack of enthusiasm for you know, the holiday season. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that Black Friday this year was pretty whack.
Yeah, AJ, is this relatable or unrelatable to you?
It is relatable to me because I mean I'm not a big shopper, but I do look for those deals. I mean, you know, I got my turkey, I'm full, I'm ready to go spend some cash, and they really didn't give me anything to bother to try to spend it on. You know, especially when you do the whole it's an entire month long Black Friday. Well, I'll get it later. I'm in no rush to get it because I don't feel that I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Paco, is this relatable to you?
It is relatable because me and Jay went to Verizon yesterday, and there was not really that many good deals. And we showed up 2 hours before they opened, and it was not necessary. There was no line.
Yeah, we could have showed up like 20 minutes before they opened, and it would have been the same. But
You probably could have showed up 20 minutes after they open and still been the same.
yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, that's
Man.
true. I got one now.
Well,
All right.
there you go.
All right. My you know it's whack is it's whack. It's the PS5. I mean, people are just putting this up on a pedestal. You know, it's like something that I just think it's whack how people are acting like it's the
ultimate.
yeah, the ultimate thing or whatever right now.
Yeah.
I don't really see how it could be that high up in everybody's
the demand.
yes,
the
the demand, and then the price gouging. I mean that's all right. I don't really care because I'm not gonna go out and get a PS5 yet. I think I'm gonna wait a while, but I just think it's kind of whack how it's being portrayed in the social media and everything.
Well, now I can definitely relate on that one. I used to be a computer programmer, and I know that you never buy the alpha. You always wait for the beta. So for everybody who's dropping this $800-900 on stuff, you know, and then turn around and they be like, well, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. And there's so many pages online out there about how different things are going wrong. Well, you should have waited.
Yeah.
Nobody told you to put a house note on it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's okay to wait.
Yeah, I can definitely relate on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna relate to, like, I don't really play games. You know, maybe on my phone I got like a game or two or one game, but I don't have a gaming console, so that's almost not even important to me.
I have children. I have like every console that's ever come out, plus phone, plus games on my phone. And recently, and I didn't even realize this, I pulled some stuff out of storage, like an old desktop computer, which I know you guys don't know nothing about. But I pulled there was games on that, okay, that came with the computer, like Frogger, okay, and Solitaire. And I'm going, wow, how old is this computer? You know?
Yeah, you know, my dad used to work for a school district, so like during the summers, he was able to like borrow a computer over the summer, and yeah, they had like the old Apples, and we used to play those like yeah, like Oregon Trail and stuff like
on
that.
floppy disk.
On the floppy.
Yeah.
That was that was fun times, man.
It was like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Now that I've had time to think about it, you know what's whack?
What?
When you gotta go to the store to pick up something you ordered online. Okay, I wanted to leave the house. I wouldn't have ordered it online. I just want to walk myself in the store. I think that is so lazy because I'm already here. Why did I walk my butt inside and get it? I gotta wait for somebody else to bring it out to me. To me, that's just lazy. Okay, I'm gonna order it online or I'm gonna go get it. That's whack.
Yeah.
Now this is relatable to me. I never use those curbside pickups. I mean, because if you're gonna go there, why not just go all the way in? It'll take an extra minute. You know what I mean? It's relatable to me.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna definitely say it's relatable. I've never used that service before. I don't understand the point of it. I mean, I guess maybe in the sense of people want to like social distance or whatever. But if I'm going to the store, I want to buy something in person. The only time I really ever do anything online is maybe if you can't get it in the stores. But if there's a store available, I'm going there first, and I don't really want to do anything else like that.
Yeah. Well,
Jay, let me jump off of that for a second. You said if you go to the store, the social distancing. But here's the thing, though. Isn't that an extra person touching it, which is what you don't want anyway?
Oh yeah, no, it doesn't make sense. Like I don't care either way. Obviously, I understand why other people would kind of use that service, but that's why I would never use it. I do feel it is pointless.
Yeah, out here in Arizona, it's not as like I hear it's pretty strict in New York with all the restrictions, but out here it's kind of lax. You know, it
is. And I'm currently in Virginia, and Virginia is almost like complete lockdown. Like technically, I should have a mask on talking to you guys right now in my own car because they just do not play. Yeah, they're not playing. Okay, you can't breathe too hard without a mask on, or somebody's giving you the stink eye. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. There's people that go in the stores and stuff. They don't even wear a mask and they don't get questioned. They don't get stopped. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's ridiculous with the whole mask thing, but that's just my thing. You know what I'm saying?
But try that in New York is $150 fine.
Oh wow. Yeah. See. Yeah. Oh man, I wanted to go to New York before this year.
All right. So now, all right. So there's two parts to this segment. So we have the you know what's whack, which is kind of like something we don't like, and then there's recommendations. So we each do recommend one thing, and then if it's interesting to the other people. So Paco, do you have a recommendation?
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and recommend GoldenEye 007 movie. It came out a long time ago in the 90s, and I just watched it again recently. I recommend it for people to watch it just because it reminds me so much of the Nintendo 64 game. That's why I'm recommending it. Jay, what do you think is that? How do we say it? Relevant?
Relevant. Yeah, relevant. Yeah, I say it's relevant to me. I've played that Nintendo 64 game, GoldenEye, like too many times to count. And watching the movie, like it's just like the game, and it's so cool. Like pretty much all the James Bond movies are pretty good. There's a few here and there that are, some of the later ones aren't as great, but they're definitely good movies to watch. So yeah, I say that's relevant to myself.
Yeah, AJ,
okay.
Is that?
So, I guess I gotta be devil's advocate here because when it comes to the game, the game was cool on 64. I actually still have it, but here's the crazy thing: I only like Sean Connery as Bond. Every movie, I couldn't touch it.
Yeah.
It's just like the fact that we just lost Sean Connery. All right, I'm sorry, Sir Sean. I can't watch any of them now. I won't touch a Bond movie anymore.
No, that makes sense. I see. That's the first James Bond I really paid attention to. I may have seen Sean Connery, but I was younger and I didn't pay attention. I only paid attention because of the game, so that's why I watched it. So that's why.
That's why it's relevant to me because I still love the game. Like I said, I still have the game, so I still love the game. But as far as the movie, I can't connect them because I've never actually seen GoldenEye. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now that's respectable too, because sometimes when a character is so like when that person is that character, like even when they play other movies, you still kind of imagine them as that other character, and that's just how great of a job they did of portraying that persona, and it becomes them. Like even now, like You know, for instance, like I would say, like Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. Like you almost can't see him as anything else now outside of that when he plays anything else. Pretty much any of those Marvel actors like Thor and Captain America, like when you see them in other movies, you think about them as at least for myself, think about them as those characters in that movie still.
Sure.
Absolutely. Because they made an iconic role, so it's like hard to shake off. And I'm sure it's gotta be hard for them to get roles because of it.
Yeah, that's true.
So AJ, do you have a recommendation for the people out there? Any kind of recommendation?
I do. And my recommendation is a little bit off from what you guys know, but I recommend supporting single moms and dads. As tonight, I had a very special event. If I can talk about it, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
sure,
go ahead.
What it was is for your viewers who don't know, I'm actually sitting in my car right now, and the reason I'm sitting in my car is because I had one of my guests turn around and recommend a thing called Dadtastic. Okay, you guys can look it up. You can Google Dadtastic, and what they did is it's single dads who went out and adopted a child, and they adopted them from all different countries and everything else. And they do this event once a year where they help these guys out during the Christmas season. It's called Dadtastic, and I had one of my guests ask me to come in and motivational speak for them because I'm a dad. I'm not a single dad anymore. Well, technically I am because there's nobody but me, but still. But mom's still around. So, but I had them. They had me come in and talk to the dads and stuff because I can relate having 8 children. What it's like to have nothing at Christmas and kids. So they had me come in. I had times where write cards out, and but my kids were so cool. They appreciated it. They were bragging like this was gold.
Yeah. No, that's definitely something very important.
I recommend finding, or if you know a single mom or a single.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree 100% with that, and I say that's relevant as far as supporting each other, especially those situations.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hello.
You
I can see y'all, but I can't hear you.
Oh no!
All right, let's see what's
you know what? It was kind of lagging right now. I'm not sure if you can hear us now. It's terrible. Yeah, it should be good. I don't know if it's probably the connection. Can you hear me? No, nothing.
It might be the internet connection.
Yeah.
I see your lips moving, but I cannot hear a word you're saying.
Oh man, see, we can still hear you. Everything's still being recorded onto the audio device. I don't think it's the cord, dude. It's probably the internet connection.
Hi, you guys look great. I just can't hear you.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Hello. Breaker 19.
Well, let me ask you guys this. You can nod yes, and that we will know. Do you guys have any more segments that you want part of?
Oh no, that's it.
No, that's okay. The last one.
Let's do this. Go ahead and intro me out. Whatever other parts you guys got, go ahead and rock those, and that way you guys can have your sound and fix it later.
All right. 10-4.
Guys, so much for making me a part of this. This was actually very, very fun.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Much love. Peace.
All right.